Hello everyone, my name is Sarah D'Arcy and I decided to do my Student Affairs functional area on career services. The part of the reason why I decided to do this functional area was because I used it here and there in my undergrad, but I wish I would have utilized it more and saw all the potential that this office holds. The history and purpose of career services in higher education is a continuing foundation that is withstanding economic conditions, trends, and demands of the labor market and needs of the university and society, and the mission has stayed the same. I pulled this from Wake Forest as just a guidance where career services provide students with the tools and confidence to navigate the often daunting path of college to career. They seek to inspire, challenge, and prepare all students to find positions that reflect their values and lead meaningful lives. Don't let the unknown of what ahead leave you stuck. The best is yet to come, and we're ready to help. So to start at the top of where career services began, before the start of the 20th century, so in 1890, there was the common term for career services, and it was known as vocational bureaus. There was two parts to it. So one was it was a resource for immigrants who needed help finding work and transitioning into the United States. And the other part was within a university setting, faculty were given the responsibility of being a mentor for teachers through vocational guidance out of the need for more teachers. Also, during this time, labor force demands dramatically changed in the United States due to a social movement turned political movement called progressivism. This was where people believed that they could address problems that society was facing by receiving a good education, being in a safe environment, and having an efficient workplace. So this meant that more people were going to end up going back to school or to college to receive a degree. From the 1920s to the 1940s, they saw a great influx of students from post-war World War I and the baby boom, which caused faculty to start to move away from the mentoring role that they had and started to give graduating teachers a way to fill the void for educational and vocational guidance, which led to teacher guidance. When the GI Bill was signed into law in 1994, there was an increase of demand for employers for candidates, which also overlapped the need to place a number of returning veterans who were going to graduate with a college education into the field, which ultimately led to job placement, or in other terms, for institutions to turn vocational guidance into job or career placement services so that we were more successful. During the 1970s and the 1990s, where it was career counseling, individuals were valuing their job as something more than just receiving a paycheck, and careers started to become seen as a fulfillment or an enjoyment that they had. So from there, career development was the focus for career counselors, and the ownership of figuring out what job placement they wanted was on the students. From the 1990s to 2010, we start to see professional networking. So having employers and students connect on the same level and try to figure out what skill sets and talents were matching and how to make sure the student was evolving in a way that employers would want to hire them. So from professional networking to 2010 to 2000, soon to be 2020, we start to see connections within the communities. So students, parents, alumni, faculty, they started to want to see colleges or institutions reinvent the career service wheel. So that meant developing students holistically, not just professionally, which also meant how can students gain skills from internships or doing civic engagement. Then in the near future, the 2020 to 2030, it's going to be more about connecting through social media, through LinkedIn, through Handshake, which is being used throughout several different colleges to connect employers to students. The students served by this functional area, there really isn't any guidelines of who they're really helping. They're open arms to anyone that would like assistance with career services. The one thing that I never really thought about is, depending on the size and the functions of the institution, an institution can either have a decentralized office, which means that there's separate career offices for students of specific academic programs and career fields. For instance, the University of North Florida has 6 career centers, compared to a centralized office that's kind of a one-stop shop. All the resources and connections that you need would be provided in one office. And an example like this is Shippensburg University has a career mentoring and professional development center that all students would go to. Since 2008, the framework of students' higher education experience has not only marked successful from the grade point average students receive, but it also depends on numerous factors that are based on the labor market and employability, which can also be seen as one's skill set, connections, and talents. I decided with career services that it be broken up into 3 sections. Institutional research, which houses academic advising and faculty, mainly because each of these groups are looking for the greater impact of students' capability to value and make personal decisions. And they also have some kind of input towards a student's individual career development process. The next section is development and fundraising relations, where I have grouped civic engagement, alumni, and employers together, mainly for the reason because there are opportunities to develop personal interests and competencies and to integrate academic learning with work and explore future career possibilities. The last section is based on research relations and is used in a broader text when aligning to career services, meaning colleges and universities must acknowledge what an institution or its students can do for the outside world and how connections like employers or even educational institutions can be mutually beneficial, which in return can potentially help frame educational processes by developing policies and practices for the quality of employer relations and career services for our students and its employers. So for program outreach, the professional and personal identity of a student develops over time as they integrate and make meaning from the interactions and experiences. And mostly when students come to college or go for their undergraduate degree, there isn't really a direction, or most of the time there isn't a direction. So from here, career service offices can provide resources and tools to help manage your major and careers, or job search and professional skills, or to learn about the professional world of careers and where you want to go with your career goals. I pulled this off of Dunsany University's website. They have this full guidelines of what's going to happen and what you're going to do and the details behind it. If you would like to go into further research or look at this more, I've provided the link down below. As for assessment, this is a way to build a strong narrative to advocate for the unique ways that career services contributes to the higher education system. I broke it down into 4 different parts, One is needs, so knowing where students' needs are not being met. We can do this through surveys, departmental evaluations annually, or even just researching trends and feedback. The next one is participation, so seeking out what demographics of students are participating in our events and seeing where we're lacking. Which leads to indicating who's using our programs and who's not. We can do this by looking at who's coming to the program events, look at sign-in sheets of who's coming to the Career Services office, see how students are handling assignments from faculty dealing with career development, and look at records from the college or university detailing where students are in their progress. The next section is satisfaction. So how are students reacting to the programs that we're having? And it can also help to indicate who's using, who's not. This can be done through word of mouth or surveys, but the two things we have to be mindful of are students are going to say good things if they like the program and speak more to it. So what we need to put in our mindset is to look at the programs that are not being spoke about and see where our weaknesses are in there. And technically with satisfaction, you're not going to really learn what students gained or learned from this experience. The last one that I put was outcomes. So measuring where our students are and if they achieve the goals that we set for the Career Services Office. This can be by looking at academic performance indicators, first destinations, and learning outcomes. First destinations is coined as a term to see where students end up after they graduate and the position that they have and the first salary that they make, and use that as a resource for later on for other students to show the different pathways that they can take. As a means of spiritual formation or spiritual development, the identity of a student is built on values and interests, family history, and even beliefs. So when setting foot on campus, a student doesn't just leave that all behind. Colleges need to play into those characteristics through student affairs professionals by educating, supporting, and challenging how an individual develops holistically. I have provided these 4 different colleges in ways that they have promoted spiritual formation. For Georgetown College, they actually have a philosophy course that you can take to start to discover vocation and how it can be a part of your daily life and a part of your career. Greensboro College has a first-year seminar course that explores the meaning and purpose of vocation in life and how you can integrate that together. Bellarmine University's Career Development Center works with the Office of Campus Ministry to have regular programs that go into further depth about what God is calling them to do for a career path and how they can go about it and try to find out what skills and talents matches what career that they want. The last one is Smith College houses a center for work and life. And that just really connects how are we going to put your work, that you have for school, your own beliefs, and the people that you interact with, or the leadership or the wellness of yourself together, and to make it into a life that you want it to be, including the career that you have. So there are many opportunities with professional development in career services. I chose 3. The first one that I chose was the National Career Development Association. It was founded in 1993 and is considered the first longest running career development association in the world. By becoming a member of this association, you're given an opportunity to work on committees and attend various conferences and receive periodicals on studies and trends for what's going on in career development. The next one that I chose was the National Association of College and Employers. They serve as an association to create opportunities for members to engage and build a network of professionals. They provide opportunities for research and discussion of members on employment for graduates, forecasting for hiring, trends in job market, strategies for tracking starting salaries, understanding the recruitment and hiring process, and identifies what are the best practices and best benchmarks. Finally, the last one I chose was the American College Counseling Association. This association is committed to enhancing the learning experience for students through the promotion of social justice, community development, civility, and stewardship. And they actually have a convention coming up in 2020. And their theme for this year is going to be reaching the underrepresented and restoring ourselves. The ACA acknowledges how the multidimensional diversity can add value to the institutional community and progress opportunities of growth in students' knowledge through the collegiate experience, and wants to look into how do career services work on themselves as well to be the best person that they can be for all of their students. This is the conclusion of my presentation. Thank you very much for listening to what I had to say about career services. I would love to hear what you have to say about my presentation or even in career services in general, and I hope everyone has a great holiday. Thank you.